Right, so welcome again. Today we're going to start a bit more relaxed, begin on our backs. So make your way down to the mat, and we're looking for the lift of the knees upwards, a little roll of the shoulders back and down, and then a sense of a nice long tailbone away from you. We'll slightly inhale, just take the top of the head to be a little bit longer. And then create a bit of space into the chest with each inhale. And then slowly exhale, let the chest get nice and heavy. You might just have the hands open either side of you for a couple of breaths. You could even close the eyes, keep the gaze up towards the ceiling. Really tuck those shoulder blades down the back as much as you can to open up into the chest space. You might tuck the chin slightly, create a bit of length through the back of the neck as well. And then just slowly start to deepen the breath. Look for that rise of the chest on the inhale, and then that nice release on your exhale. So give yourself a few breaths to notice how particularly the back feels. So we should hopefully feel like the top through the bottom to the tailbone is nicely in contact with the mat. So there's not that little lower arch that we tend to get if we have the feet out long. So it should feel nice and supported, nice and even while you give yourself a couple of breaths. Great, so as you ground slightly on each exhale, we'll start to bring a bit of movement. You're going to take the arms out wide, so you might like to reach as far as you can. You can take the hands so the elbows are out, the hands are up. So if you haven't got quite as much space, and then gently bring the knees over towards the right hand side, so just feeling as heavy as possible as you can through the hips, through the knees. Gaze might come over to that left shoulder or the left arm if you want to, and it's comfortable into the neck. And then just feeling that twist right the way across the waist, so through the lower back especially. Breathing nice and evenly, super gentle, supine twist to start with. And then take that gaze through centre. Bring the knees back round as well, and then take them onto the left-hand side. You might take the gaze towards the right shoulder this time. Feeling that chest space stay nice and open. That breath is even as well. And then just see if you can release slightly through both of the knees, the hips, especially outside of that right leg. Can it just slowly release, helping the knees creep a little bit closer towards the ground. On your next inhale, we're going to take the gaze up through centre. Bring the knees up. We'll take the sole of the feet together, knees as wide as you like. And then the hands might come to the outside of the knees. They might come to the thighs. You may just let them release onto the hips. Or you could take them back behind the head and then let the elbows release gently towards the ground as well. So we've kind of got a bit of a mirror pose going on where the arms are reflecting what the legs are doing as well. So we're gently releasing through the top sides of the leg, through the arms, to get those elbows and knees just to gently release. We've still got the length through the back as well, and that even breath. So this is Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined bound angle. And then just looking to deepen the breath, and then on each exhale, it really feels like this insides of the legs can just release. Help the knees creep a tiny bit closer towards the ground. If you want a little bit more, it all feels like you could go a bit deeper, just move the feet a tiny bit closer towards you. And then if you want a little bit less, bit too intense into the inside of the legs, just edge the feet slightly away from you, and that'll decrease the stretch slightly. Great, so just keeping with that breath. Again, you might close the eyes for a few moments. You might just keep the gaze up towards the ceiling. See if you can really release on the exhale. And then nice and gently, if you've got the hands behind the head, we'll release those. Take them to the outside of the thighs. Just draw the knees back up together. And then we'll hug the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a couple of moments to see how the lower back feels. And then just gently hug the knees in a tiny bit. You might even find that you want to Hug them in on your exhale, release slightly on the inhale. We can take those into little circles, so making small circles with the knee to gently release the lower back. And then going around as slowly as you like. And then we'll release the feet back down towards the mat. We're going to roll to one side, just press into the hands, come through to all fours. So looking for the hands to be underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Tops of the feet have a little bit of contact through the mat as well, and then we're rooting down those palms. So try and get the knuckles and palms to be as flat as you can possibly manage into the mat. Pressing out away from the mat as well, so the upper back really rounds out and away. If you've got this dipping sensation into the shoulder blades, you're going to keep that nice and firm, pressing down into the mat. Look for the insides of the elbows to look in towards each other. A little bit of weight through the tops of the feet, so big toe and little toe are in contact with the mat. We'll activate through the core slightly to begin with, so you're going to press through the tops of the feet. Just lift the knees up for a couple of moments and then bring them back down. Great. Big inhale, again we'll press up the knees for a couple of moments, then let that release down. And then you might find that you want to keep going at that with just a couple of second bursts and then releasing through the arms slightly. You could also find, well actually I'd like to stay up a little bit longer, work with the breath, maybe you stay up for 2 or 3 breaths, really pressing out into those hands, making sure we're nice and active, even breath going on. Great, and then nice and slow, release the knees back down. Great, so we'll bring the big toes together, knees as wide as the mat. Release the hips back as far as they want to go. The chest works its way down towards the mat. Top of the head may come down towards the mat. You might find that it stays up a little bit higher. Big inhale, broaden the back body, and then gently exhale, release the chest space down towards the mat. Give yourself a couple of breaths. See how those wrists feel. How do the hands feel? You might take a little prayer position. Just bring the hands back behind the head as you walk the elbows forward slightly. Gently inhale and then gently exhale. Great. So on each exhale, you're really looking for that release of the chest downwards, a tiny bit more towards the ground to help release the insides of the legs. So nice and slow on that next inhale, you're going to replant the hands, swing the hips back up to all fours, take the knees back underneath the hips as well, and then as slowly as you like, we'll take the weight forwards over the hands. So we're in a halfway plank, we've got the feet in line with the knees, in line with the hands, insides of the elbows looking in towards each other again, nice long back as well, just feels like the weights come forwards into the hands so the shoulders and arms start to activate a little bit more. If that's all fine, you might be really comfortable here and just stay here for a few breaths. If that feels okay, start to tuck the toes, swing the knees up into your plank pose, and then again, give yourself a couple of breaths. Double check, always double check. Have the hips come up a little bit too high or have they come down a little bit too low? It's always easier to do that. But we want this nice long line, heel to hip, to shoulder, to the top of the head. Gently inhale, gently exhale. Feel that core activate. And then nice big inhale as you swing hips up and over, back behind you. Walk yourself into downward facing dog. Really root the hands down as flat as possible. Nice widespread fingers. Pedal out through the feet. Shake the head, yes and no, release. With each exhale, keep the hips up nice and high, and then just pedal through the feet so you can bend the knees as much as needs be if it feels like that gets the hips up a little bit higher. If it feels great to straighten out the legs and take the heels down as far as they want to go towards the mat, also absolutely fine. Give yourself a few breaths just to release into downward facing dog. Great, so we're going to walk, step or hop your way up to the top of the mat. So then we have our hands just in front of the feet in a standing forward fold. Again, feel free to bend the knees as much as you like if those hamstrings are feeling tight.
If they're absolutely fine, then just straighten the legs, release the top of the head down, have a little tap over towards the right hand side, and then tap towards the left. And then once again, go over to the right hand side. Just notice that kind of stretch into the hamstrings and the top of the head being nice and loose. Tap towards the left hand side. See if you can keep the weight nice and even into the feet and toes. Spread the toes out, take the hands back in front of the feet. Just make sure we're kind of casting these toes out as much as you can possibly manage. But there's no sense of clenching or tightening into the toes. Gently inhale, lift top of the head so it comes up halfway, lift. Elbows back behind you, hands are going to be on thighs, knees or shins. Nice big inhale, nice big exhale. Again, take that inhale. Gently exhale. And then this time we're going to inhale. Bring the gaze towards the right shoulder, so just look over towards right shoulder. Keep the top of the head nice and tall. Just keep that stretch through both the hamstrings. Elbows back behind you. Feel that little stretch on the left side of the neck, and then slowly release on your exhale. Gently inhale. Look over towards the left shoulder, so feeling that little stretch along the right side of the neck this time. Nice big inhale. Big exhale. Inhale. And then exhale. Release the gaze towards the mat. Last time, inhale. Big exhale. Release the hands down towards the mat. Feel the feet are nice and rooted, so we've got our kind of 3 points of contact of the foot, the heel, little toe and big toe. Pada bandha, so foot lock, we feel like we're super rooted, super even in both the feet. Big inhale, big exhale. Release the top of the head down a little bit further. And then this time we're going to plant the hands back down onto the mat. Swing the right foot back behind you, followed by the left foot. We're in a plank pose. And then from the plank, just double check is that core nice and engaged. If we kept that length through the whole body, got that nice long line, doesn't feel like the hips are sinking or a little bit too high. Big inhale, big exhale. We'll come down, knees, chest, chin, down onto our fronts. Take the hands just by the chest, elbows back behind you, tops of the feet are super heavy. We're coming to a little baby cobra. So just start to lift the top of the head up, draw the elbows in, keep the gaze down towards the mat, and then really notice if the back is engaging or if the hands are doing the work. We can double check that just by lifting the hands for a couple of moments. If we come crashing down, we're probably doing a press up. So you're looking for that engagement into the back, but at the same time the feet are really heavy, and we're pressing through the pubic bone as well. So we've got loads of space into the lower back. Doesn't feel like there's any sense of discomfort or crunching into the lower back. It's nice and open, and the chest feels like it's kind of being pulled forward slightly. Gently exhale, release, top of the head down, and then we'll come up once again, inhale, top of the head up. You might come into your full cobra if you're familiar with that and you want to come up a little bit higher, forwards with the chest, otherwise stay nice and low, engage through the back. Hands are there to support and help, not to cause the bulk of the lift. Elbows back behind you, gently exhale, release, tuck the toes, gently press into the hands. We're going to swing ourselves back to all fours. Hang out in all fours as long as you like, and then from all fours, you're going to take yourself back up into downward facing dog. Swing those hips up, gently pedal through the feet, shake the head a little bit, yes, a little bit, no. Nice big inhale. Big exhale. Feel the hamstrings start to loosen slightly. Also rooting through the hands, lifting the hips again. We'll come up onto the tiptoes. So you're trying to bring the heels and the hips as high as you can, but kind of keeping the head nice and loose. Maybe the gaze comes towards the belly button. Big inhale, big exhale. Release the heels as far down as they want to go. So we're never forcing the heels down. We're just looking for that little release of the hamstrings as everything gets a bit more comfortable, a bit more flexible. Great, so keep that breath nice and even. Again, pedal through the feet. So we're going to just head to a little simple three-legged dog. So you're going to take the right foot up as high as you like. So you might find that you want to keep that kind of in line with the hip. And the
So the legs are nice and straight. You've got that foot up against the imaginary wall. You can take it up a little bit higher if you want to, really as high as you like. Gain that nice big stretch into the left hamstring. And then gently exhale, release back down. Gently pedal through the feet. And then we'll come through to the other side. So left foot comes as high as you want, maybe in line with the hip. Really pressing out away from the hands. Knuckles have not started to come up yet. We're nice and rooted and flat with those hands. Maybe the leg comes up a little bit higher. Hips are square, so both the hips are facing down towards the mat. And then slowly exhale, release that back down. Pedal through the feet. Keep that active effort pressing out of the hands. Shake the head a little bit, yes and no. Stay loose through the neck, and then gently release. One knee down, followed by the other knee. Take the big toes together, knees as wide as you like. Again, we're heading back to wide-legged child's pose. Top of the head comes down towards the mat. You might just let the hands release completely on the mat. Or we can go for that little prayer position again. So taking the hands back behind you, walking those elbows forwards, and then breathing nice and deeply. Great, so we're going to slowly start to take the hands back in front of you. We'll swing ourselves back to all fours. Take the knees underneath the hips, hands underneath each of the shoulders again. And then just going to double check the kind of balance in all fours. So a little bit of weight through the tops of the feet, really root down through those hands. Nice big inhale, nice big exhale. We'll slowly start to tilt the tailbone, raise the gaze into your cow, and then roll back through the other way to come into cat. So taking it nice and slow, just notice how the back is feeling. See if you can keep that engagement into the hands, the tops of the feet as well. And then rolling nice and slow into your cat-cow. Raising the gaze, gently exhaling, lowering. And then nice and slow, we'll come back to neutral. And then you're going to flip on back to our backs once again. Come back to where we started. So taking the knees up tall, walk those heels just within reach of the fingertips. Roll shoulders back and down. You're just going to take the right foot onto left thigh to start with. So really flex these right toes as much as you can. Making sure there's no discomfort whatsoever into this right knee. If there is, just don't work it away from you that much. If that all feels okay, you're going to gently work the right knee away from you. So keeping these right toes nice and flexed. Reclined pigeon is where we are. Where we are at. Keeping that breath nice and even, keep the length through the top of the head. And then we're going to swing to one side. So the sole of this right foot is going to work its way towards the left side of the mat. Work the stretch a little bit deeper into the right side of the hip. Head can stay on the mat, nice and open with the chest. And then even with the breath. Perfect, so slowly roll that back round. We'll uncross the foot, we're going to take the left foot onto right thigh this time. Really flex the left toes, work the left knee away from you as much as you like, or as little as you like. Notice how that left hip feels on this side. Is it exactly the same? Is it totally different? And then just working super slowly into that hip. Taking the left knee as far as it wants to go. Keep that sense of flexing the left toes towards you. And then whenever you like, we'll release that. We're going to swing left sole onto the right side of the mat, or over towards the right, across the body. And then let the sole come as far down as it wants to towards the ground. You just get that subtle stretch into the left side of the hip. So breathing nice and gently. See how that hip feels. And then see if you can deepen the stretch on your exhale. Great, so slowly, we're going to awaken this left knee, this left foot. Swing that back round. Uncross the feet. Tuck the shoulder blades, just walk the heels a tiny bit closer towards you. We'll root down through the hands as much as you can. And then gently swing the tailbone up. Keep lifting. Take the hips up as well. We're coming to bridge pose, Setti Bandha. So you want that little lift of the hips. Slight effort through the fronts of the feet, through the glutes, the thighs. So gentle effort. We're not activated 100%. We're not at 0%. We're just somewhere in the middle. Nice and even. Relaxed lift. Little back bend. Chest is really rising, where it feels nice and open. Hips are high. Little sense of engagement or effort through the hands. And then gently rolling back down as slowly as you like, with the back coming into contact on the mat. We'll do that one more time, so one last time, gently lifting through the tailbone. You might find that you like to root the hands down, the hands might be completely loose. Or we could take the hands up above the head. So drawing hands above you, lifting the hips as high as you like. And it'll move a little bit of effort into the kind of tops of the shoulder if you go for the hands above. But looking for that little lift of the hips. Chest is nice and open. Back is nice and comfortable. And we've hopefully still got our knees tracking over the feet. And the feet just within reach of those fingertips. As slowly as you like, we'll gently release back down. Rolling back onto the mat. So our usual pointer for bridge pose is just double checking that those feet and heels are underneath the knees. That's kind of the most important thing, rather than any distance away from the hands. Great, so we'll let the back release down. Give yourself a few breaths. If there's any sense of discomfort in the lower back, just leave the knees up. Close the eyes gently. And then feel the lower back get nice and heavy on each exhalation. If that all feels fine, you're going to take 1 foot long, followed by the other foot. Maybe even take the palms out to face upwards. You might close the eyes for a few moments. Start to deepen the breath. Have a little scan through the whole body, so we might even check to see if there's every single muscle we can possibly think of, and just tense that muscle up. So tensing the hands, the feet, arms, legs, glutes, chest, thighs, hips, face, top of the head. Just tense, and then completely let that release. Feel nice and heavy into the mat, especially on your exhale. And then have a gentle scan through the toes, the feet, the legs, hips, the lower back, upper back, into the arms, elbows, forearms, hands, fingers, and fingertips. And then as slowly as you like through the chest, noticing that fall of the chest. Release through the neck, jaw, the tongue, face, eyes, ears, right the way to the crown and the top of the head. And then just give yourself 3 or 4 breaths just to completely release. So no sense of what you are or aren't supposed to be doing, no sense of kind of to-do lists and things that need to be done, any thoughts or noises that pop into your head. Just take that attention back to those 4 breaths and notice them as they go in and out of the lungs. So as slowly as you like. Make that next breath a tiny bit deeper. You might even start to take a bit of movement into the hands, the fingers, toes and the feet. Maybe stretching the heels out and away from you. Take the hands up above the head, reach, reach, reach. Just get that nice big stretch through both parts of the side body. Big exhale. We're going to release. We're going to take the knees up in towards you. Hug knees nice and tight. See how the lower back feels. And then we'll roll to one side. Press into the hands. Come through to seated. Right where we were at the start. And then give yourself a little lift into the chest. Roll the shoulders back and down. Take the hands into the chest. Biggest, deepest breath of all week. And a big exhale as well. Steady. Thanks very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Any questions at all, let me know. But yeah, otherwise, hopefully see you soon. Thank you.